Alright guys, welcome. Going to do some overview training and just help you set it up. Talk about what we're going to be doing and give some examples of the overview because it's really powerful. I've made mine a little bit bigger so you can see it. And this is how I have my overview set up. I do have two screens, so I have quite a lot of stuff on my second screen, but I brought it over here. Hello Fermi. So, let's begin. Can you all hear me first of all correctly? Good. So, the overview. First of all, very, very important, and there are two components to the overview that you can't confuse. There are brackets, and there is the overview itself. And people confuse the two, but they are completely separate. For example, here is brackets turned off. You can see I can't see anyone in space at all. Brackets are your space view. The overview is your list view. So you can have two different things, you can set them up in two different ways. You're also welcome to have 5 tabs for the overview. I have default, PvP, PvE, loot and space. It really doesn't matter though, because you can change whatever tab you wish and just load different overview profiles on it. It just means that you have 5 that are already set up that you can just click. Otherwise you have to keep loading up new ones. You can create new tabs by right clicking and clicking add tab, and very simply add a tab up to 5, and I suggest you add 5 tabs. There's no disadvantage to having 5 tabs in any way at all. Really the name does not matter because that can be changed at any time. So let's have a little look at the tabs I have. PvP tab. Really important in PvP. I have it set so it will show, as you can see, drones in space. There's the warriors I can see in space on my bracket, so I can see drone brackets, but I don't want to see drones on my overview. So I have drones not on my list of overview, but I do have drones on my bracket. Also note, these blue ships here, they're friends, or, you know, they're blue friend ships. I don't want to see friends, so I can't see the friends in my overview, because I'm not going to be targeting them. I'm in PvP mode. But I do want to see them in space because I want to make sure I'm with the squadron. So I have the blue brackets showing. That is the first thing that's really important that you do. And we'll talk about that in a minute. There's another blue ship. I don't want to see him, so I don't see him in my overview. Same for fleet members. All those purple fleet members you normally see in your list when you're trying to join a fleet, I have them turned off in my PvP. When I'm in a fleet of 100 people, I don't want to see any of them in my overview. I only ever want to see enemies and neutrals. PvE is different. PvE, my PvE mode, I actually do want to see ships, friendly ships in my overview, because sometimes I use it to lock on to friendly ships in the case I'm a logistics pilot and I'm giving them shields or armour, or just to see their speed. In particular, I like to see if my other ships are moving and I can see their velocity. I have a loot tab. Now loot will show me all ships as well, but in particular it will show me cans and wrecks. There's not many wrecks outside, but look, you can see this can here. In my PvE tab it doesn't show. In my PvP tab it doesn't show. It does still show as brackets, so I can still see it in space because you can warp to these in PvP, so you still want to see them in space to know if you can warp to them. But you don't want to be seeing them on your list of overviews, so that when the FC calls a target you're only seeing enemies very easily. My spare, I've got set up as mining, which will show me asteroids if there's any asteroid fields nearby for me to target. But you can set it up as you wish. And it's very easy, as I said, to switch. So that's the difference between brackets and overview. And a brief rundown of my overview. Default I normally actually have set as all, because I want to literally see every single thing. You know, sometimes there's something you want to see in a mission that you cannot see. And I like to have every single thing showing. and that way I'm in a mission I need to kill an enemy base or destroy the enemy bunker. Default, and I can find it on the list. It even shows the drones, you can see. Now, let's set up some overview settings for us. So you've created these tabs now at the top, I hope. What we need to do is create the actual profiles. So you click the top left button here, where the next to where it says overview and it's got the 4 lines. And all you want to do is open overview settings. Now we're going to create a PvP overview to start off with, because that's the most common one that is hard to make, that people don't make very well. Very important, first of all, we'll start from this far right end, MISC. In MISC, you want to check mark move entries with broadcast to top. That means if the fleet commander broadcasts something as a target, let me broadcast something as a target. Apparently I can't. Am I the FC? I must be. I create the fleet. There you go, broadcast as target. You see the target icon, but also it will move to the top of the list. No matter how I've sorted the list out, it will move it to the top of the list. Now I have mine always set by distance, shortest distance at the top. But there will be times when you might want to sort it by type, because the FC will say kill all omens. And you just scroll down to O and you can target all the omens. Very rare occasions you may want to sort it by velocity, because you might only want to be able to shoot stuff that's slow, because your guns are so large, slow targets are the only thing you can hit. But distance is the standard. But when you have it, show broadcast at the top, it will, it's already at the top, but it will bring it up to the top. I broadcast that even as a target, Jade Tiger Claw. You should jump to the top. There you go. A bit delayed being in a MAR, a very laggy system. Makes it much more easy for me to spot the targets being called. Entries broadcast at top. I want to display damage indicators, to display active modules. I don't like to show a targeting crosshair when I've locked someone. It's like those big lines appear from the side of the screen, they annoy me. I do want to see ships, NPCs and drones, information about them. Overview tabs. You can ignore that for now. Ships. I like to hide the corp ticker if the pilot is in the alliance. I don't really care what corp they're in. If they're in test, they're in test. They're not going to, it doesn't matter which corp of test they're in. They're in test. So I hide the corp ticket if they're in the alliance. So I have the top 4 ticked, when in actual fact you can move them around, I believe, and I have it ship type ticked, pilot name ticked, corp ticker ticked, alliance ticker ticked. So when I hold my mouse over someone, it shows me that. There you go. And alliance or corporation. I do actually have a program that makes them so they're coloured, which is legal. That's very useful, and I'll show you how to do that in an advanced tutorial. It's not much difficult, but beyond what I want to do today. The columns tab is very important. It's what do you want to show on your overview. I like to see the icon, the tag, the distance, the name, the type, the velocity, and then the alliance. And you can drag these up and down. So if I didn't want to see the tag to the end column, I can drag it down and it'll move the tag column to the end. Now tagging is very useful, because in the incursion fleet, PvE, your FC may well, pardon me, your FC may well tag enemies with numbers, and you just go after the enemies in number order. And if you've got the tag column open, it makes it a lot easier to see the tags. You can actually order it in order of tag. So the tag column's well worth having. And I like to have that at the beginning. Remember, you can drag these up and down to put them in which order of your overview you would like your columns to be. That wasn't yawning, that was like a burp of some sort. Tagging, incredibly useful. Some people do have transversal or radial angular velocity, or radio velocity, just to you know, so once again, shoot enemies that are going at the right thing. I personally just have velocity, but each their own. Alliance is useful in the rare cases that we're actually allied with an enemy against a common enemy. You know not to shoot your temporary friends, and I have used it before now. Right, appearance tab. This is really important. Now we're creating a PvP profile. Now, I've told you there's brackets and then there's the overview. Overview being a list, but you'll sometimes see colours along the entire overview, like for example someone might be coloured in blue, or in a fleet completely purple along the entire overview, because you have two different things. You have the icon, or colour tag they call it. The colour tag, I call it the icon, in this case a red minus, but you do also have a background, and you can actually have someone with a blue colour tag but a red background, as I occasionally do have. And that doesn't mean they're an enemy, because the colour tag shows they're a friend, they're a blue, but the red background indicates they're a criminal. So I can see if my friends are criminals, which is very useful because you don't want to heal a criminal, because you'll become a criminal yourself if you're a logistics pilot. And you can sort these all out on the appearance tab. First of all, apply to ships and drones only. You do want. Although you could have it so it applies to people's space stations and stuff like that, but I apply to ships and drones only. You don't want to use small colour tags, well in my opinion at least. And you don't want to use a small font unless you've got really good eyes. Now you can drag these in order of priority. For example, if someone's at war with my corporation or alliance, they will always have that, which is a flashing red star. Very important to me. Even if they were a criminal, if they were at war, that would be the priority. They'd show the flashing red star, because I don't care if they're criminal, I care that they're at war with me. So order is important, so you can drag these up and down in order. Now I have them all ticked, except for pilot has a security status below 0, not interested in that. Pilot has a bounty on him, and pilot has no standing. I don't care if someone's got a bounty, and I don't care if they've got no standing. The order I put them in is important, as I said, and I have war at the top. Pilot is at war with your militia. Pilot is in your fleet. Because if they're in my fleet, I don't care if they're red, I don't care if they're orange, I don't care if they're criminal, I don't care if anything, because they're in my fleet. I have pilot is in your corporation, pilot is in your alliance, pilot has an excellent standing, and pilot has a good standing, pilot has a terrible standing, and pilot has a bad standing. Pilot has security status below -5, that's of interest to me, because they can be attacked anywhere. Pilot has neutral standing, that's if I set that personally myself as neutral, which I do to a few people. Pilot is a criminal, pilot is a suspect. Pilot has a limited engagement. Pilot has a kill right now. I actually have that ticked because I like to know if a pilot has a kill right on them. Pilot is in your militia. Pilot is an ally in one or more of your wars. And finally, the last one I have ticked is pilot is interactable at the bottom, if that's an NPC and I'm doing missions. Now, that's the colour tag. And I would really suggest you move them into that order. I'm going to leave them on the screen for a minute for you to look at that. But that's an important order to have them in, because that means the priority ones will appear and override anything else. Now, that's the colour tag is the icon. Background. Now background is the second customization you can have. I have blinky. You can right click on these, and same for the colour tag actually. You can right click and change the colours if you so wish, and toggle the blink if you so wish. And for background you can do exactly the same. I only have 3 that blink, what I consider very important ones. Pilot is a war with your corporation, is at top, because that once again overrides, and the colour tag is what the whole bar highlights as. Pilot is at war with your militia, and pilot has a limited engagement with you. I think they're priority, so I have them blinking and at the top. Pilot is in your fleet. I have just solid purple. I do like to show that, so that if people are in my fleet I can see them very, very clearly. Not only do they have a purple fin, but they have a purple bar. Very easy to count that way. I like piloting my corporation on because I like to see all the greens. Pilot is in your alliance. Pilot has an excellent standing. Pilot has good standing. I don't show any of them. I'm not interested in having the whole bar coloured blue if they've got excellent or good standing. I'll still see, from the colour tag, I'll still see a plus blue or a light plus light blue, but I don't want to see the actual whole bar filled in, so I have them unticked. Pilot has a security status below -5. That I do want to see. So his entire bar goes red. Same for if he's a criminal. So I know if someone's a criminal or they've got a security status -5. Once again, they could be in our alliance, but be a criminal. In which case, I'd see the blue plus, blue star, because it's above here. But on this tag, I would see pilot is a criminal. I'd see a blue bar. Sorry, a red bar. So I'd see a blue tag, blue icon with red bar, which still means they're blue, but I know they're a criminal. Very useful for if you're a logistics pilot. So, pilot is a suspect. I have yellow, so I know that I can attack them as well. And they have a yellow bar, they will. And then I have a pilot is a kill right on him that he can activate. I have that as an orange bar, and very rarely I'll see someone with an orange bar and think, oh, I could actually activate their kill right and kill him. All the rest I have unticked. I'm not interested in them at all. I don't want my bars coloured too much. You'll notice that I use the colour of bars as very important fins. Notice no one at the moment is worthy of a coloured bar, because none of this is important to me. I'll leave that on there so you can actually have a little look at what my background settings are for my PvP overview. Once again, you can drag them up and down in order of priority. Are there any questions so far? Because we're just going to set this up and then I'll show you how it works. All we're doing is looking at the look of our overview. There goes a friend up here, the blue. I can see him in my brackets, but I cannot see him on my overview. I'm not interested on seeing him on my overview. There's a suspect. Immediately sees a suspect. He's targetable. He's got my bright yellow bar. I know he's a suspect straight off. I also don't. He hasn't got a blue icon, so I know he's not a friendly suspect. I know he's someone I could actually attack. Well, he's a neutral. He hasn't got a red icon, because you know it's being red is actually above being a suspect icon, so I know he's actually a neutral suspect, so I shouldn't really attack him according to our alliance rules, because we only attack reds, even in high sec, strictly speaking. Now, the EWAR tab, I have everything ticked. I want to know if someone's doing something to me. Everything's ticked. So there's no question so far. Good. Now, I've set up my look of my overview, but now I need to set up what do I show, and that's the final tab, far left, filters tab. What do I want to show on my PvP overview? And this is the types and then states. So first of all, we'll pick types. What types do I want to show? Do I want to show any asteroids? Clearly not. My advice is you click deselect all to start off with, because we don't want to see anything. Now if I click deselect all, it will remove everything from my overview at the moment, because I wouldn't want to see anything. But click deselect all, and then we'll select the ones we want to see. So we don't want to see asteroids, but we do want to see a beacon, or we do want to see a stargate and a sun, because sun is used a lot in PvP. We do want to see a warp gate, and we do want to see wormholes. So under the celestial tab, tick beacon, covert beacon, stargate, sun, warp gate, and wormhole. That will show us beacons, covert beacons, Stargate, Sun, Warp Gate and Wormhole. And if you're following along with this, you'll actually see them starting to appear on your overview as you tick them, because it literally is real time. If I scroll down to the Stargates and I untick Stargate for a second, you'll see they disappear. When I tick it, they'll reappear. So I'm actually real time adding to my overview. Some PvP, I've activated my important things to see in from Celestial tab. Charge tab. You want to see all of these. You want to see all the charge tabs. So you can just right click and click on select all on the charge tab. That's the bombs. You want to see bombs in PvP. You want to see survey probes. You want to see probes. Absolutely, you want to see if there's any probes being out to scan for you. Deployable. You might want to see the mobile warp disruptors, if there's any warp disruptors. Drones. You don't want to see any normal drones. I don't, on my overview at least. Such as combat drones. You might want to see fighter and bombers, because fighter and bombers are actually more like frigates. They're from carriers, super carriers, and they're more like frigates than they are like drones. So I like to see them because they're actually worth killing. And they normally cost about 5 to 10 mil each. Under Entity. Yes, I am Fermi. Saving it. Under Entity, and you can pause it as well. I want to see destructible sentry guns. Because if I can destroy a sentry gun, I want to see it. But nothing else. The NPC tab, I do actually want to see pirate NPCs. And sometimes I would even tick mission NPCs probably under my PvP tab. Because you want to see if there are reds in a site that might be attacking you as well. Red NPCs, that is. Orbital, nothing. Planetary interaction, nothing. Ships, all. I want to see all types of ships. There are some people who make profiles PvP battle cruisers, PvP battleships, where they have everything unchecked except for battleships, which means they only want to see battleships, and it'll only show them battleships on their review. In my main PvP overview, I want to see every single type of ship. So right click on it and select all. Sovereignty structures. I don't want to see any of them. Station. I do want to see stations. I think that's very useful in PvP, although some people don't want to see it on their overview, cluttering them up. Finally, under structure, I like to see the jump portal array, so that I can jump using the jump portals at POSes. That's the only thing I tick there. So now I've got shown up what it will show me. I have got what it will show me, and the order of the colours it will show me, and the order of like the backgrounds it will show me. I finally click the state sub-tab, so filters, states, and finally I select the ones that I do want it to actually show. For example, I have it showing ones that have got a kill right, ones that have got limited engagement, pilots that have got a security status below 0, pilots got a security status below -5, pilots have a bad standing, pilot has a bounty. I untick the ones pilot has an excellent standing and pilot has a good standing. I don't want to see friendly pilots on my PvP overview. I want to see neutral pilots because they could still be enemies. I want to see no standing. I want to see terrible standing criminals and suspects. I want to see if they're an ally or at war or in my militia. I don't want to see them in my alliance, corporation or fleet. If they're in my alliance, corporation or fleet, I don't want them on my PvP overview, so I've unticked them. I want to see if they're in militia. Rec is already viewed or Rec is empty is irrelevant because you'll find under the types tab I've unticked Recs. Or I haven't ticked Recs, shall I say, so Recs will not be showing. But you may as well have them ticked in. And you've made your PvP overview. What you need to do is quickly, at the top left of the overview settings, you need to save current selection type as and save it as PvP. I have mine saved as 1 PvP because I also have a PvP and drones if I want to see drones very quickly on my overview. Once you've got it saved, you can right click any tab at any time and load your overview profile. Very easy to change it. You can also go to the overview tabs column and you can actually make that your overview profile. Also your bracket profile. Do I not want to see blues on my bracket? If I don't want to see blues on my bracket, I can hide them so I don't see them in space, which is annoying because I like to see where my friends are. So I have show all brackets selected so I can see all brackets in space. It is a bit CPU intensive, but I even see friends in space on my brackets, but I don't see friends on my overview. And to show all brackets, you go to the top left and you just click show all brackets. Yes, you can delete saved profiles. Overview settings. You must have delete. There it is at the bottom. Delete on whichever one you wish to delete. I'll delete test. Bing, it's gone. So we made our PvP profile, and the PvP profile is the important one. I base all my profiles off of PvP. For example, very simply, PvP plus drones, I create one. I don't actually use it very often, but for example, I'm in a PvP fight and I'm actually fighting against, say, an Ishtar, or something that actually uses drones, and they're killing me. Sometimes it's better off killing the drones before you kill the enemy. So I right click that profile, load overview profile, PvP and drones, and suddenly all the drones appear on my overview as well. So I can shoot the enemy's guards, or shoot the enemy's drones. Remember, I have show all brackets, so I always see them in space, so I can see them chasing me around in space, but they're not clogging up my overview until I need them to. So, we've created that one, we've saved it. You don't even need to assign it to a tab yet. You've now saved it. Now we're going to create a new one. We're going to create a PvE one. So keeping that loaded up at the moment, I'm going to load my PvE one up and see what it looks like. And we're going to just change it to exactly the same. Now PvE, I do want to show friendly ships. So I keep my ship columns and appearance tag exactly the same because they apply to all your overview tabs. But the filters tab is the only thing that you change for each one. And in the filters tab for PvE, I want every single thing ticked under the states. I do want to see the pilot if they're in my fleet or corporation or such. Look, I can see my blues, my friends in my PvE tab. In my PvP tab I can't. PvE tab I can. So it's useful for seeing your friends, especially for logistics pilots. In actual fact, some people have it so the reds don't show in their PvE tab or logistics tab, only blues show in it, so they know they won't hear a red and they don't have to worry about the reds at all. They're just only ever seeing friends in their overview tab. But that's more advanced. I have all the states selected. In types, do I have anything more selected? No. I like to show a control tower under structures so I can see control towers, like friendly control towers and enemies sometimes. And I do have the infrastructure hubs shown, but I don't think they're important. I have all ships shown. I have the mission NPCs shown for sure. I just have a little bit more shown, but nothing exotic. No asteroids shown, for example. And you can save this now as PvE. So you can just easily just modify your basic profile and save as PvE. There's a suspect on my tab. I can see very simply the suspect arriving. What is key key is, you might think, well, I already have suspects showing already. What is key is it shows you whether he's a friendly suspect or not. If he was a blue suspect, I know, had a blue icon but with a yellow bar, I'd know he's a friend who's a suspect status, whereas your current setup will not show friends. And in fleets it will still show your friends, which is a pain in the backside. So, I've got PvP, PvE set up. The last one that's really useful is loot. Now I'm going to show you my specialised loot one. This is not my current specialised loot one, this is the one I haven't remade since I had to reinstall the game. But for loot, you can actually have everything unchecked except for Rex. So you are not going to see anything, I'm doing it right now, except for Rex. Oh no, that's not the best way to do it actually. Cancel that, scrap that, scrap that. Because you won't see containers that belong to people that way around. The best way to do it, I'll reload it back up. The best way to do it would be very simply, open overview settings, just go to types and don't show any ship types. Deselect all ship types, bam. So now all I'm going to see in my loot container will be cargo containers, I'll tell you that in a second, Fermi. I'll see cargo containers and I'll see wrecks. There are no wrecks here. If I walk to an asteroid field, I bet you I'll see some wrecks from the miners who are mining it.
Warp drive active.
What is important is that you see, I believe, cargo containers under Celestial. For your loot one, you have cargo containers shown under Celestial, so you also see cargo containers. You also might want to scroll down and look for mission container. That should be ticked under your thing. And finally, Dead Space Overseer's container. Dead Space Overseer's belongings. And you'll say this is loot. I'm overwriting mine, there you go. In my asteroid tab, you can see my asteroids are showing up. My mining tab. Now, there's one last thing you can do with overview. Let's say you're in the middle of a fight and you want to make a quick change. So I'm in the middle of asteroids. I'd notice on my asteroid I don't actually show the actual asteroid field. Let's say I want to go to another asteroid belt. That has an icon as well. I can right click on it and add asteroid belt to overview. I've now added all asteroid belts to that overview. And then what I can do is quickly save current selection type as, and I save it as mining. I've now got my new tab. If something's shown on my overview I don't want to show, for example, I don't want to show Veldspar, right click on it and remove Veldspar from overview. Remove all the Veldspar from the overview. That's all there was at the asteroid field. And I can save it again. But I'm going to reload the mining because I do want to show Veldspar, because it's concentrate Veldspar. So in the middle of a fight, sometimes very quickly, if I don't want to see any Manticore, because I don't want to shoot them in combat, I can just quickly, even on my PvP tab, quickly remove the exhumers, and I'll remove all exhumers from the overview. If the enemy says we're only going to be engaging frigates, I can remove all bigger ships from my overview very quickly. So that's basic overview settings. I don't really know what much more there is to say about that. Let me walk back to the station. As I said, brackets, you want to show all brackets so you can see them all in space. Look, I even see brackets of planets and stuff, which is incredibly useful. But I don't want to see them on my overview, but I do want to see them in space. Occasionally I want to see them on my overview as well. So I'll walk back to the Emperor's Academy. You might want to know the tactical, Control and D, very useful for a frigate pilot. If you want to keep away from certain enemies, use the tactical. It shows you your lock-in range, which is that big circle, here. It shows you your actual guns weapon range. You can see my guns only have an optimal of like 3 kilometers, 1.5 kilometers. But you can use this now to, you know, pilot in a PvP. I'd be, and I was a frigate like this, I'd be flying around like this during an engagement, waiting to swoop in on enemies. I've got on PvP, so I'm not showing any friends on my overview, but in space I would be, because my brackets are showing all. Now I'd see a friend, either friends in the middle of a fight, I'd swoop in now and try and help them out. Obviously not against this many enemies, but then I'd swoop in, double clicking which direction I want to go, fly by this guy, so I'd like select him, approach, fire off a few shots, web him, scram him, orbit him, do whatever I'm doing, and then warp off as a frigate. He probably thinks, why the hell am I locking him? Control and click to lock, by the way, saves you a lot of time. Shift and control and click to delock. I think that's really the overview settings discussed as such. Now, I only recommend, and you could do this yourself, I just want to explain how the overview works, but obviously EVE University, as always, has really good overview settings, overview guide, and in particular it will tell you how the filters tab, it will tell you the status tab, and it will tell you how to set up. Well, first of all, it has slightly, bear in mind that EVE University is not the same as us. EVE University is not NRDS, so don't change their backgrounds and that. Don't have their backgrounds, because we have priority of blue pilots and we want to show them very often, whereas they don't seem to care about that. But you could use their PvP tab, their missions, their looting tabs, pod saver tab. Pod saver tab is very important. Pod saver tab is actually useful. You could have it on one of your spare overview tabs, and you could have a pod saver tab just showing. I mean, let me load one up. I'd load up general and remove every single, because general is basically, and actually I'd load up all, because you do actually start off with some defaults, so you can load up all. You go up top here, so I've got my all profile loaded. Travel tab is perfect. In actual fact, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Pod saver tab is a travel tab. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to load up my all tab, then I'm going to load to the overview settings. I don't want to see any celestials. I'm going to deselect all. The only things I'm interested in seeing are stuff I can warp to. It's a pod saver tab. So it's something like you're about to die, just warp to a planet, and you've got a list. You can open up your pod saver tab and you know you've got a planet or somewhere to warp to. You don't really want to warp to the sun in your pod, because normally people are there to try and catch people who do that. So I'm looking for stuff I can warp to. Where would it be? Celestials, of course. So asteroid belt is useful because you might want to warp to them. Moons, definitely. Although moons are risky, I'd probably untick that because they can have poses there which would shoot you. Planets for sure. The sun you might want there because it might be a regroup point. Remember, in your loot tab you do want to have Rex shown, but I don't. So I've got my pod saver tab. I might save that as. Oh, hold on. You might also want stargates and stations. Stargates are under stations are there. And stargates are under stargates. Are they under celestials? They must be. There it is. I can quickly save that as my pod saver tab. Bam. I'll keep that on my spare during a PvP fight. And whoa, oh no, I'm about to die. Well, I've just walked to something. There you go, I'm safe. My pod is safe. In actual fact, don't do that. Just click on it and just keep on going. Whoop, 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 whoop. And as your ship dies, your pod will try and insta warp. And unless they've got a very fast locker or you're in a bubble, you're safe. Fermi, you want to know how to see overview and dock? That's something I should have told you. That was rude of me. You have to go to your options, shortcuts, navigation. I believe it's navigation, he says. Might be general. Or it could even be window. Open overview settings, there you go. And you can set it as a shortcut key. Once you set it as a shortcut key, you can use it in stock. But otherwise, there's no other way of getting it. It's under Window, Open Overview Settings, and you have to set it as a shortcut key. Right, that then is really the overview training as such. I'll turn off the tactical overlay. Are there any questions about overview really? Is there something that you particularly would like to see on an overview that you'd like me to create? Or not? Travel tab might just only show stargates. That would be quite useful, and obviously might show reds as well, especially if you're in PvP land. You'd probably want to see. I mean, PvP is almost my travel tab because I want to see reds. I want to see stations. I do want to see stargates. So yeah, that's fair enough. You can have all player ships shown as a colour bar. What I do like is I like the colour bars to be important. So if I see a colour bar I'd like to be important, I probably will take off the background. I probably will take off actually players in your corporation and alliance off the background. That's not as important enough, or even players in your fleet. But you could have it shown as all. Make sure you got it in the right order so that the priority ones show more than others. How I like mine is because if they're a criminal, I can still see by the the most important for me is the colour tag, and then I look at the background, so I can quickly see, oh, it's a blue criminal, or it's a blue, etc., etc. So do you show neutrals as well? You like to show neutrals, do you? So if I walk to the station and turn on neutrals, let's see what it looks like.
Warp drive active.
How would you distinguish Sinson between a criminal and a red? You've got to think about a lot of questions. There's a lot of priorities that can occur. We have a lot of problems where people shoot blues that are actually red, like they're criminals, but they're actually a blue friend. If I turn on neutral, or no standing, see it fills up half the screen with no standing. Oh, someone's got a kill right. Oh, he had a kill right, he's docked. But there you go, that's the kind of thing I'd be flying around to see if they can kill. If I can kill, blah. And as soon as you activate your kill right and then engage him, he turns teal colour because then he's got a limited engagement with me. Are there any other questions? That was just really a nice, simple overview settings. Use EVUnis, and there's other types as well. Sinsun downloaded a huge set, I believe it was Sinsun, where he has it like he can right click and he can load overview profile battleship, load overview profile PvP cruiser, and he has like about 20 or 30 different ones he can load up for any individual situation. I personally, that's too many for me, but I'm sure it has its uses. Load poses or load whatever he wishes to load up. And obviously you make it your own. What is important is that you can tell blues from reds, and you can hide them in a big fleet. That's really important. Make sure you show brackets correctly as well in space. If you show all brackets, you'll even see Rex. On the loot menu, there you go, I actually see a Rec. Hey. See, it's nice and easy to loot when you're on a nice clear overview when you turn to your loot menu. Hey, I've got some screenshots apparently.
I return to serve.
Hey, there we are. I shall show some screenshots. Double click it, that'll be the easiest way. So you have it very, very clear. You have it like blue, red, yellow. Problem is, how can you tell if he has a kill right on you, him, or if he's a suspect? Because you can't attack him if he's just got a kill right on him, but you can attack him if he's a suspect or a criminal. If he's got a terrible bad standing, you can't attack him. But if he's got below -5, you can attack him. But you know, those ones, the first three you can attack, but the kill right you can't until you activate the kill right. So I probably would change that colour in some way, maybe to yellow. These reds here, you might confuse with these dark reds here. These dark reds here, you can attack you and you can attack them. But if they've got terrible or bad standing, doesn't necessarily mean you can attack them, not in high sec at least. So there are little possible problems with that. This order here looks good. Very important we have this the right way around. See, there's a problem here. Let's pretend there's a friend, an ally, or even in our corporation, who had a security status below -5, which does happen. We have some criminals, security status of -5, who are still in the alliance. He would show a red skull rather than showing a blue star or a blue plus. So you'd think he's an enemy, when in actual fact he's a friend. So you'd have to drag these blue ones up to the top there. Okay. So it's above these, because you don't want to see criminal and suspects if they're blue, so they've got to be above there. Let's see what you're saying. But his bar will show friend. Okay, let's see. So bar will show friend. Let's see. All right, his bar will show friend. Okay, that's fair enough then. So you rely on the bar more important than the colours. Fair enough. Okay, I do it the other way around, but that's fair enough. So bar would show friend. Yeah, that works. What about the limited engagement problem? No, I can understand that. I like that. I like that setting. So yeah, this is actually it's the reverse setting of mine basically. But yeah, that's fine. Okay, I can appreciate that. I actually like that. Very, very simple. So I'll leave that on there for people who wish to have a little look at Sinsons. You could actually have it. You could even swap it around, and very, very easy to swap around either way. I'd like you to give me an example at Dodixie so you could see everyone's bars and see friends and enemies. But what if they're neutral? They're just grey, aren't they? Okay. Cool. Very cool. Thank you very much, Sinson. I like that. Thank you for sharing that. So, yeah, I think that's it really. Yellow probably makes more sense for the limited engagement, so you know you can activate it. There might be a case when we do trying to hunt people that we want to see that. Any questions? Anything else anyone wants to say? It's nice and early for us. I'm going to walk myself to close that down. I'm going to go to Dodixie.
Warp drive active. Autopilot engaged.
Okay, absolutely. This has got sets. So normal these are all different tabs that you can load up. So PvP, bashing structure, bomber warpouts, hostiles, just all ships, hostiles, anti-bombers, friendly all, friendly fleet mates, friendly ship specific. Excellent. You could download all of these very, very simply. And all you have to do is you can import at the top here. You can import overview settings, and you can import some overview settings very, very simply. If people are interested, I wonder what will happen if I import one of these. Let's try it, shall we? Bing. That might be my green coloured. Might have completely ruined my overview, or it could have added my green colours back to things, because I used to have green colours, but I broke it at one point. I hope it does. It might well have done. Let me show you that. So he's not. Oh, they're NPCs. There you go. Yeah, I got my green colours back. Oh, it's also done something. It's changed one thing. Open overview profile settings, overview tabs. It's showing small icons. I don't want to use small colour tabs. I don't want to see. Cool. So now I've got my green icons back. That's something you can download quite simply sometime if you wish. Load all. I would almost always show all brackets in some for almost all parts. And yeah, just do a search. You can find some overviews to download very easily. Ooh, here I am. Now I wonder what happened. This is going to be awful because I'm playing around on air. I wonder what happened if I tick that, untick that. Oh shit! Someone's walked off. Is he in Alliance? He must be. Damn it! I need someone in Alliance to check what it looks like. Is he in Alliance? Yes, Preds. So now it shows the corporation. That's okay. It shows the corporation. I can do that. Fine. Talking rubbish, but I'm done. Did it show his distance? Yes, I like the colours. So now I've got a ship name. Awesome. Alright, thank you very much, guys. Yeah, see you in a bit. I'm being Dodixie in 14 jumps.